I gotta do something with these nails today. You trying to go in the house? You trying to go in the house? Huh? What's the matter? What's the matter? Daddy left you? I need a fingernail file. Badly. Who is that? Who was the first person? Let me see. Let me see. I can't see who it is. If you were first, type first in the chat, because my thing haven't came up yet. So I can see who made it, because we giving out stars. We're giving out participation stars for the first person to make it. And so far, Phoenix has the most amount of stars. But somebody beat her yesterday. Beautiful Magic beat her yesterday. So if you are first today, Kay, was you first? Was you the first one, KK? Because Kay ain't never first. Kay ain't never first. But see, Kay got a, like a real job and stuff. Was you the first one, girl? Because I give out stars for um, participation. You go, girl. Oh, Lord. Gizmo pooping. And I don't have no bags. Ooh, he pooping, too. Like, he ain't playing out here in these pooping streets. Oh, I should have ordered my Instacart before I got on live. Because I came downstairs this morning and someone got the last banana. Oh my God, that poop stink, and I'm downwind. Somebody had ate the last banana, and I couldn't make my smoothie this morning. I got very upset because you know that number on the scale that is that number that you don't like? I saw that number this morning. So I was like, oh, for sure, for sure. I'm about to get up and make me a smoothie and, really get serious. And I come out the bedroom about to make my smoothie, and someone is sitting at the kitchen table eating the last banana. I was so mad. Like, you don't even understand the level of upset I was. I was so mad. Okay, I had to pull his hair back. Will it go back? I should have put a scrunchie or something on this hair. This some new hair, y'all. New hair, new me. I should do a review on this hair. I might do that later. This is the first time I put her on because Chaka, my favorite wig, is getting nappy and like super nappy, and I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to. Maybe if I cut like the nappy part off, I don't know. So I ordered this one. This one is not as thick as Chaka, and it's actually a converter cap, so you can pull the drawstring and turn this into a ponytail if you want to. It's one of those. I think they're called converter cap. But I'm gonna go through that when I do my. That was so unnecessary. When I do my video, I'll go into that. So I had got a comment on a older video. It was The video had to be about 2 years old. And yeah, thank you. The video had to be about 2 years old. And I think it was a video where I had put, I'm a Christian witch. And I just, put witch in the title for clicks, to make people watch the video. Because, this YouTube, you have to do that. I don't really consider myself a witch per se, because I don't follow the whatever, Wiccan. I'm not into that. I don't know anything about that. I don't know, what they do or anything like that. But there is a dark side to everything. There's a dark side. Thank you to the person that said I look beautiful. There's a dark side to everything. There's a dark side to Ephod, to Santeria, to Lukumi, to voodoo. There's a dark to hoodoo. There's a dark side to everything. Where there's light, there's darkness. So I just, kind of just threw that out there for clicks and views. I'm a Christian witch. And I know that video has to be about 2 years old or older, because we were living in a townhouse. So the person was like, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to make up your mind who you want to be. You can't do two things." So do people understand that Christianity, the whole concept of Christianity, is man-made? Do people not understand that? Like, have you not even done enough research to understand that religion is a man-made construct? And if a man made it and wrote the rules to it, you can basically do whatever you want to do. That's like playing a board game. Do you know how many people argue about how to play Uno? It's a man-made game that comes with rules, but when people play so many times, they start to kind of add their own rules to it. Like when families play, oh, well, we play like this. Okay, well, some people may go by the rules. You are a stickler for the rules, and you may go by the rules, and some people may be like, no, well, we don't do it like that. That's how Christianity is. So I may not do it like you. And if I don't do it like you, it doesn't mean that I'm taking anything away from the way you do it. You just don't do it like I do it. And if you don't like the way I do it, continue to do it the way you do it. Do it the way that makes you happy. But see, you can't do that until you come out from under that conditioning, that church conditioning. Church conditions us, controls us basically, to see things a certain way under the Christian umbrella. And if you don't see things that way, then it's something wrong with you. Well, Lashana, how did you get out from under that Christian umbrella? How did you get out from under that controlled thinking? How did you stop believing every single solitary thing that the Bible says? How did you stop believing the way that the older people at church taught you how to believe? How did you do that? Because who is that? Hey, Tina. There are so many people that cannot come out from under that church conditioning. When I hear people talk about church hurt and what the church did to me and going to church, that you're still living under that church conditioning. You're still living it. How do you have church hurt? How are you holding on to it? Get out from under it. Especially if you're not even going to church anymore. How does something hurt you that you're not even attending? You don't even go to church anymore. Like, I don't go to church. So why am I still living under those church rules? I don't allow the church to rule my life. I don't go. I haven't walked into a church since, I think the last time I was at a church was for a funeral. That was the last time I went to church. I don't go to church. So why would I then allow those church rules and regulations to rule my life? That it makes absolutely no sense. You don't live there no more. So why are you still holding on to those rules and regulations? But let me go back a little bit farther. Let me just, for the new people, let me tell you the whole story. I grew up in the church. And when I say grew up in the church, I mean I've been in the church all my life since I was a little kid. Baby, born in the church, basically. Baptist church at that. So what comes with that is Sunday school, regular church, BTU, after church, choir rehearsal, usher board meeting. I was a junior miss. I think that's what they called us, junior miss or something, where we was like the little, the little girls that were like the sisters of the church. We were like the little sisters. And the sisters was the ladies that went to like the circle meetings, and they belonged to the different circles and stuff. And the circles were like named after women in the Bible, I think. But anyway, we were the little bitty versions of that. So I grew up with all that. I grew up with, you know, not the women can't wear pants, but my best friend did because she was Church of God in Christ. So, the women couldn't wear pants and stuff at her church, or lipstick or fingernail polish or none of that stuff. But I did grow up thinking that red lipstick and red fingernail polish were for, like, loose women, or women that, didn't have any morals, because, women with morals didn't wear bright red and flashy stuff and tight clothes, and, all of these weird things that you're taught in church. So, growing up, I that was my whole life. Church was my whole life. No ironing on Sundays. The only I couldn't turn the TV on Sunday morning unless it was Oral Roberts. That was the only thing my mother would let me watch on Sunday mornings, was like church stuff. Other than that, leave that TV off until you get home from church. And I loved Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and that came on Sunday night. So my mother did let me watch that on Sunday nights. Yeah. That's not today, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. My mother did let me watch that on Sunday nights. But Sunday before church, don't turn that TV on unless you're watching Oral Roberts. So I would watch Oral Roberts and the rest of the little church stuff.
I'm gonna send this one to her.
Okay. So, um, I would watch that in preparations for church. And then we would, go to church and be there all day, like all day. And if we wasn't there all day, we would come home and go back there. And after a while, after you become a teenager, you be like, all right, I'm sick of this. I didn't really trip off of it when I was a kid. Gizmo, get down. What are you doing? I didn't trip off of it as a kid, but when I became a teenager, I really was having enough. Even though the majority of my friends were at church, because my mother was very selective about who she allowed me to hang out with. So the majority of my friends were church kids, other church kids. And I think that was the only thing that really kept me at the church, was the fact that I had a lot of friends there. So my entire growing up until I got into my 20s was church. After I got in my 20s, I had literally had enough. I really think that I was just burnt out. I had just had enough. And it wasn't even the doctrine, because I didn't really understand Christianity until I went to college and started taking classes on African studies and, you know, African history and all of this kind of stuff. That was when I started understanding what Christianity really was. And I was like, what in the hell have I been doing all my life? Because, when you're young, you just accept the doctrine. You just accept that Jonah was swallowed in the belly of a whale and spit out, and he was okay. You just accept the fact that Jesus fed 5,000 with 2 loaves of bread and how many fish was it? 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, I think. You accept that and you just run with it because you have.
We did see this one before. We went out to see this one. It's back on the market. It just went back on the market.
Which one is it?
That was on 68th Avenue. The one I just showed you?
Did we like it?
I don't remember.
She said we went to see it.
No, I'm looking up because it looked familiar, so I looked through
The peanut gallery is
text.
here, y'all.
Hey
You
y'all,
can, thank
I
you.
looked through the text, and we met her there. So
Oh.
I'll just send I'll send
So,
it back to you.
you just accept it for what it is because when you're young, you can't say anything about it. You can't say, "Oh, these stories sound strange." You know what I mean? You can't say that because you're a child. But when you become an adult and you start looking into these things, then when your mind starts to develop, I think you start to question some of this stuff when you're young, but you know that it's disrespectful to say anything. And you just keep those thoughts to yourself. Because I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I was like, okay, this makes no sense, but I'm going to just go with it. A lot of things that ministers say and Sunday school teachers say and stuff, in your mind, you're saying that doesn't make any sense. But you run with it because you're a Christian, because your parents are Christian, because the rest of the church, everybody else is going with it. So why would you be the person that's going to buck up and want to say that it doesn't make any sense? And if you do, they're going to say that, oh, well, that child got the devil in her, or it's something wrong with her. And, you don't want to be labeled the kid that's got the devil in them or the person that's got the devil in them. And people start looking at you funny because I was always that really good kid at church. like I always did, like the little poems and speeches and welcome. I was in the choir. I was on the usher board. I was like that girl, and my husband can vouch for that, but he probably won't because he's a hater.
What? I wasn't. I'm trying to type. What did I miss?
Wasn't I that girl at Greater St. Paul?
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
Can
you
you say it a little bit louder? I don't think they heard you.
were. Yeah,
Can you?
Ballsy. Yeah, Ballsy. Um, thinking you were Miss Know It All. Yeah, that was you. That was you.
Whatever, whatever. Cause I
Ballsy.
was that girl. Like I really was that kid. So
This son is
sit in that one.
all in my bag.
Oh no, that son be hitting you.
You know what? I can sit back. I can
Huh?
sit back. I can sit back like this. That's fine.
So you don't want to be labeled as the kid that's gonna start problems, asking a bunch of crazy questions. So you just go with it. And then when you get older, you just realize some of that stuff didn't make any sense. And I think that's where we are now. These kids are too smart. These young kids are not. He did what? Oh, well, let me Google that and see what Google says about Jonah. You know, these kids are not just going to accept the fact that Jonah was swallowed and spit out some days later. They're going to ask how. They're going to ask, well, how did he get oxygen? How did he breathe? What was he eating? These kids, this is a different breed of children than the children that we were in the 70s and 80s. These kids are different. I think that's one of the reasons why Christianity just does not have the hold on people that it used to. And a lot of these kids don't, the parents are not taking them to church because that was kind of how it happened to me. Like after I got out, I didn't throw my kids into that same pool. After I got out and realized, okay, I'm fine without being there every day, I still survived. Because when you're in it, you feel like, oh, if I don't go, something is going to happen to me. The Lord is going to, not bless me like He was blessing me when I was in church. He continued to bless me. He continued to protect me. I continue to have a relationship with Him, and I didn't have to enter those doors every Sunday. Now, am I a Christian? I think Christianity is kind of like a game. And once you get baptized in, you just in. You don't officially get out. Like, I don't officially say that no, I'm not, because that is my foundation for spirituality. But do I attend church? Do I get Holy Communion every first Sunday? Do I, go to Ursha board meeting? They still have Ursha board meeting.
Ursher.
Ursher, whatever. Smarty on
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 Ursher on Sunday.
whatever. I know they still have choir rehearsal because my mother-in-law be going. My mother-in-law still be going to choir rehearsal, y'all. Um, Let me shut up because she might have her window open. Come down here and hit me on top of my head. Um, I can't do that. But Christianity is the foundation for my spirituality. I still read the Bible. Not just read, like, not just pick it up and read it, but if a scripture comes to my mind and I want to find it, sometimes I'll look on my phone and be like, where is that? And then I'll pick up my Bible and read it from the Bible because I just like to read it from the Bible sometimes. But as far as like studying the Bible like I used to, oh, I left out a big part. So I left the church in the 80s. Okay. Yeah. I left the church in the late 80s. I got married and started having kids.
Not to me.
Yeah, because you married somebody else.
You married me.
So, yeah, because you were married.
She did not marry
Yeah,
me.
because you had already married.
She kicked me to the curb.
What year did you get married?
The year after you.
You were a year after me, lie. You got married before I did. But anyway, we're not even going to go down that road in this video.
I still got the skid marks.
Okay, whatever. So I got married, had kids, and when my kids were older, I went back to church, got ordained as a minister, stayed in the church for a while, got fed up again, and left. And then when I left that time, I never went back. So that's the real story right there. So, but in between me, no, this was before I was ordained as a minister, I had got initiated into Santeria. So that was in between that, when I wasn't at church. That was when I had found the Orisha for that, you know, gap. I was practicing Lukumi. And then I got ordained as a minister. And then I dropped Christianity again and just became spiritual, where I consider myself now. You know, and just because I dropped the concept, the man-made concept of Christianity, doesn't mean that I don't still believe in God. I don't still have a relationship with God, because in your practice, if you practice Ifa, Santeria, Lukumi, any of those African traditions, it's still going to point you back to God. You know, because the majority of us, our ancestors were Christian. They were some form of traditional religion, Christian, Methodist, Church of God in Christ. Don't Church of God in Christ fall up under the Christian doctrine? They were something. You know, even...
She said she would probably go there in the next hour and Zoom it.
Okay.
Okay.
Even if they weren't Baptist, they were something. They were some type of Christian. They went to somebody's church. Kay said they would have been ready to beat the devil out of you had you said anything against their teaching. Anything against their teaching, they would have really been upset and would have thought that, oh, it's got to be something wrong with you. What is wrong with that child? You know, bring her up here to the altar and let's pray for her. And who wants to go through all that? Who wants to be embarrassed in front of the whole church, people laying hands on you and praying for you? And it's really nothing wrong with you. It's nothing wrong with you. But they would have been trying to, you know, pray for you just because you had questions, and, you know, you questioned what you were being taught. It made a lot of sense to question what you were being taught. Like, how did Jesus feed all those people? How did he turn water into wine? And why did he turn it into wine? Why couldn't he? I mean, you at a party, you want
Whiskey?
people. Yeah,
Hennessy?
you can turn it into Hennessy. They wasn't drinking what else? Cavassier or something. They wasn't drinking none of the top shelf. They was just drinking wine. And you want people. I thought the Bible said that you don't get drunk. And I'm pretty sure he didn't just turn in one bottle. I bet you they was like, come on, Jesus, man, give us a whole lot. And then when Jesus raised the dead, when he raised Lazarus, why he didn't raise everybody? I'm pretty sure it was other people there that their families was crying and carrying on too. And he gonna just raise Lazarus because that was his friend. So what about all the other people who had family members that they missed too? I know they were upset, and he just gonna call one person, and that was Lazarus. And what did Lazarus do? Lazarus just turned around and was like, "All right, see y'all later." He called me. That's janky. What about all the other people that were there that witnessed that miracle? You don't think they was like, "Well, Jesus, can you call my sister? My mama out there? Can you call her?" And he was just like, "No, I didn't know your mama." What? So, yeah, I had a ton of questions, but I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to get in trouble. And you do that so you remain the good kid at church. And I know a lot, like my own mother, who was a mother of the church, eventually got tired of the way that things were going at church and she stopped going to church. And this was somebody that had been basically going to church all her life. Like, when that church door opened, she was there. And she stopped eventually because she felt like things were not going in the direction that that she deemed appropriate. So yeah, I mean, I really believe that the church is not what it used to be. Like, I see a lot of people doing ministry online now. And they're doing ministry online like these, and these are not old people. These are young people. I see a lot. There are a lot of young TikTok ministers. It be a lot of people on TikTok preach. Like, I be scrolling through lives and they be in there hooping. I be like, see, that's too much for me to watch on a screen, though. I cannot get into watching somebody on TikTok preach. But there's a lot of people on TikTok who be on live just hooping, okay? Just preaching. Because these young people are not being given the opportunity to preach in church. Like, these old ministers, you know, still have that same old mentality. A lot of them don't want women in the pulpit, don't want a woman to out preach them. And I had that happen to me, but it wasn't by a man, it was by another woman. She didn't want me to preach at her church because she didn't want me to out preach her. That was one of the reasons why I got out of ministry the last time, because I started seeing a lot of jealousy. This church was pastored by a woman. It was pastored by a man, but her husband passed away, and she took on the leadership of the church, and she couldn't preach. Preaching was not her strong suit. her husband, preaching was his strong suit, and she was the first lady. It just wasn't her strong suit. But when her husband passed away, she wanted to, keep the church, in which we all encouraged her to do that, knowing that she couldn't preach. So we were going to help her. And when I preached, and people, were like, oh my God, like, we didn't know she could preach like that, she got upset and kind of like didn't want me to preach. But you can't preach. And my ego took over, and I was like, I'm not going to sit down and not preach, and you can't preach. I'm going to preach. Either you going to let me preach or you not. And she was basically like, well, I'm not. And I was like, all right, then, well, you going to do this by yourself, because I'm not even going to help you. My ego got in the way, and I left. And I left. Like, I left and didn't come back. So, and she lost the church. Eventually lost the church. Because she couldn't preach, for one. And she didn't really have the leadership skills to run that church by herself. She just didn't. And she didn't want to admit it. So I left. And after that, I just was really active in the EFI community for a while. And then after that didn't work out, I just started doing my own thing and just being my own person like most people are. You know, I feel now being spiritual is just basically being a good person, acting like you have morals and values. I'm not perfect. I will still cuss you out, and, yeah, I will. But the core foundation of me is good. I pray. I like hymns and gospel music, but I like rap music and R&B, and you know, I'm just a regular person that don't get caught up in all of that Christianity dogma. Just be a good person. You know, just love people, and if you can't help them, don't hurt them. Just live your life and don't worry about what other people are doing. Because when I see people doing something, if you want to call yourself a witch, call yourself a witch. If you want to call yourself Harry Potter, call yourself Harry Potter. I don't care. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you practice. You can pray to a rock for all I care. That's your life. Stop looking at people and telling them what they can and cannot do with their spirituality. Because for one, it's not even your business. It's really not, and it ain't gonna affect you when I die. If I go to hell, that's me. I messed up. It ain't gonna be you. Hopefully, you make it to heaven if that's your belief. And if you don't believe in heaven, and somebody else say they want to go to heaven, who are you to tell them that they can't go to heaven? Who are you to tell me that I can't be a Christian witch? I can be whatever I want to be. I can be an upside down turtle if I want to. You can't tell anybody what they can and cannot do with their spirituality. You can't tell nobody what they can and cannot do with their life. I was about to say the only person that you can do that with is your children. You can't even tell your kids what they gonna do with their life, because when they grow up and become an adult, they're making decisions on their own. They gonna do what the hell they want to do. You can't even force your kids to do what you want them to do. So stop looking at people telling them oh, you shouldn't be doing that religion, or you shouldn't be doing this, or the Bible says this and the Bible says that. Shut the hell up. Let people live and do what they want to do. So, did I answer the question? I am spiritual. I'm a spiritual person with a Christian foundation. That's that. So days when you see me reading the Bible, if I come over here and I do a scripture, it's because that's what I felt like that day. And then if you come on here and you see me with my crystals and my spirit dolls, that's what I felt like that day. I can do whatever I want to do. This is my life. This my spiritual journey, not yours. You do what makes you happy. And if riding that Christian train to Georgia makes you happy, do that. That don't make me happy. So I'm not doing that. I'm doing what makes me happy. Because the majority of y'all Christians aren't happy anyway. Y'all ain't happy. Because you got too many things that you trying to live up to that you never will. Y'all just as sad. Because I was old, sad, tired Christian. But if that's how you choose to live your life, live it. I saw a minister, uh, Minister Karn. Girl, we ain't even gonna talk about the spitting, that pastor spitting on uh, his brother. Come to find out that was his brother. Pastor Karn at some type of, it looked like a revival or something. So he had asked everybody to come up to the front so he could pray over them and lay hands on them. And you know how ministers do. When they lay hands on you, they want you to fall out, because they want to prove to the world that they're powerful. So, he laid hands on some people, they fell out. Laid hands on the next person, they fell out. Laid hands on this one young girl, and she didn't fall out. She just, stood there like I would have. And when she didn't fall out, the pastor got mad at her, like legit mad, and was like, "Why did you come up here for prayer if you weren't gonna fall out? You locked your knees. What are you locking? What are you locking your knees up for? Why you didn't fall out?" Because I didn't feel like falling out. I didn't feel anything to fall out. But the girl was so scared to say something back to him that she just stood there in fear. The way I would have cussed him out in front of everybody that was filming, because you embarrassed me, I'm gonna embarrass. We both gonna be embarrassed. We're both going to be embarrassed because I'm not going to just let you embarrass me. I would have been like, I didn't feel anything to fall out. So no, I didn't fall out. And I bet you he would have went and took that mic someplace else because he was like all in her face. Why you lock your knees? I don't know if he said it was the devil or something because whoever filmed it cut it off at that point. But honey, he would have got something from me. But see, I never would have went up there because I never was into that laying of hands and falling out situation anyway, because I know I'm not going to fall out. You going in?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it and feed him.
Oh, well, what time is it?
I think it's almost 12.
No, what time is she calling?
Oh, she said within an hour. She didn't say exactly when. She said she's gonna try and do it within an hour.
Okay. So intuitively, in sync said, "How are you today?" I'm good. I am spiritual also with an ancestral foundation. Yes, live in your truth. Hey, Tamisha, thank you for living your truth. A lot of people are in fear of being happy and truly living their best life. Well, they better. Yeah, see, some people are not into. I have never been. Okay, so coming from a Baptist background, that laying of hands, like they didn't do that in the Baptist church that I grew up in. So when I got older and started going to other churches, because that wasn't my background, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Like I didn't want you putting your hand, somebody that I don't know, like I don't want you putting your hands on me and stuff like that. So I never felt comfortable with people putting their hands on me like that. So I never went up there for them to do that. Now, if you do that, then yeah, they are expecting to knock you out. That's just part of the show. That's what I considered it. That's part of the show. It is part of the get down is for them to knock you out. And that ain't my thing. That's just not my judge. Let me say this. Since she said that her ancestors are part of her foundation. When I was very, very young, when I was 5 years old, okay, let me start earlier than that. When I was 2 years old, my little sister passed away from SIDS. Oh, okay, let me go back a little bit farther. When I was 2 years old, my father was killed. And then my mom was pregnant when my dad was killed with my sister. My sister was born maybe a couple of months after my dad was killed. And then a couple of months later, my sister died of SIDS. So my mother endured two very bad tragedies: the loss of my father and then the death of my sister in the middle of the night. When my sister passed away, we were in the same bed. Me and my sister were in the crib together. And she died of SIDS. They got up the next morning and they found her dead. 3 years later, my uncle passed away, who was very, very close to me, who like was in the process of adopting me. My uncle and aunt were in the process of adopting me after my dad passed away. It was actually my dad's uncle. So that would have been like my great uncle. They were in the process of adopting me because my mother, I don't want to say lost her mind because she didn't lose her mind, but she just couldn't deal with me at the time. So my uncle and aunt had took me in. And my uncle, unfortunately, had cancer and he passed away before the adoption was final. So I had three ancestors very close to me as a child. Now, when my uncle passed away, the day before his funeral, he came to me in a dream with my father. Now, I was 5 years old. I had no memory of my dad because he passed when I was 2. So I didn't have any memory of him. But I told my mother what I saw. In the look on my mother's face, I knew that it was something serious. And after I told my mother what I saw, she wouldn't allow me to attend my uncle's funeral because she thought that it was too much. What had happened was she had took me to the viewing because she was like, "Oh, we going to see Daddy," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But she kept telling me that Daddy was asleep, so I thought that he was asleep like he would be asleep when we would go to the hospital sometime to visit. So when we went to the viewing and he was in a box sleep, you know, I was like, "He sleep?" You know, a 5-year old. And my mom was crying and her best friend was there. And I was like, "No, this ain't just sleep," to myself. And then I went home that night and had that dream. And I told my mother what happened. So it wasn't until years later that my mother told me that it was my uncle and the other person that I saw in that dream had to have been my dad. My uncle had brought my dad to see me. So when I went to get initiated into Lukumi, my uncle and my dad showed up again at the reading. And the Madrina who did my reading was like, "Okay, so we have two visitors. It is two men, one very tall and one older man who is a little shorter." And I knew then who it was. So my ancestors have always been there. Always. Even as a little child, my uncle and my father have been there to protect me because from birth, they always talked about how much my dad loved me and how, proud of me he was, how happy that, how happy he was that my mom was having another baby. And he literally wanted another little girl to look like me because, he just loved me. So they've always been there. Like my ancestors have always been with me. I didn't understand that, of course, until I was initiated and then started understanding about ancestors and, who they are and what they can do and stuff. And even my sister, even though she was only 3 months old, like she only lived for 3 months, I still feel her, spirit. There are days when I just, feel her. I'm pretty sure she didn't want to leave, but she had to. Like her time here was so short. And they said there was such a contrast in the way that we looked. I look like my dad, but my complexion is my mother. Like I get my color from my mother, but my facial structure, my small eyes, and everything come from my dad. So my little sister was the exact opposite. She had my mother's eyes and my father's color. So she was darker skinned than me. So we were complete opposite looking babies. because my dad said, they said my dad said when he first saw me, like, that's not my baby. I don't have, there's no way I could have a little white baby until I opened my eyes and he saw that I had the same very small almond shaped eyes that he has. And he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's her. So, yeah, my ancestors are very, very important to me, and they always will be. Intuitively instinct, thank you. I almost just cried. That strengthened my belief in faith. When my grandma and my great grandma departed, I knew they had passed before everyone else knew. I had serious, vivid dreams. Yeah, some people have very, very vivid dreams. Very vivid dreams of, if you have a connection to, a family member, like you have a very serious connection to a family member, when they pass, they probably more than likely will come see you. Like my mother came to me maybe about a week after she passed, and every now and then, like it's weird. Like, have you ever seen, like, is it Marvel or the other one, where Stan Lee always has like a little cameo appearance in the movie? Like he may be somebody in a store, or he may be someone selling newspapers, or he may be sitting in a coffee shop or something. But Stan Lee would be somewhere in the movie. That's how my mom is sometimes. Like I can be dreaming about something and I'll turn my head and she's sitting in a chair, or, you know, she's walking down the street smiling or something. It's not always her, coming to me with a message. It's just her letting me know that I ain't that far. I'm still here. You know what I mean? And just seeing her, you know, boosts my spirit, because me and my mother were very close. We were thick as thieves, okay? We would talk on the phone every day, all the time. My mother would call me for the craziest stuff, like to tell me who just won Jeopardy, knowing I did not watch that show. But she had to call me and tell me who won, or, who was on the show, or she would call me and be like, this was classic, my mother. She would call me and be like, turn on Channel 4, click. And you just had to turn it on to see what she was talking about, because she didn't have time to talk about it, because she didn't want to miss what was going on, but she wanted me to see what was going on. That was classic, her. So, yeah, your ancestors, they will be there for you. They will show up in your dreams, you know, just to let you know that they're okay. I see a lot of red birds and different colored birds now. Also, lots of deer, and I know that that's them. My mom does the same thing. I usually see her at a party or something fun. She just smiles at me and miss. Girl, I miss mine too. But I do. I love to see her happy, because she's always smiling. Every dream that she's been in, she's always, smiling and happy. And that makes me happy, because she was so sick before she left, before she passed away. She was so sick. So to see her happy and moving, moving around, because it had got to the point where she couldn't walk. So to see her happy and, gosh, I'm crying. To see her happy and moving around makes me feel good. So yeah, I love my ancestors. I mean, I know I have a lot of other old ancestors, also that I don't know their names, but I do have one ancestor that I know practice some form of hoodoo or something. She is very much attached to me, Mambo. She is dark but funny, you know, solitary. You can tell she spent a lot of time by herself, but she enjoyed it. She loves working with herbs and bones and, you know, just a very spiritual person. And I really enjoy her also. If you make a connection to your ancestors, you let them know that you are interested in them, even if you don't know their names, they will come to you, especially if you're doing things that they enjoyed. I know for sure that my ancestors were farmers. My mother's father was a sharecropper in Louisiana. I know that, my people come from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Monroe, Shreveport. We are Louisiana people by blood. And they worked the land. They grew potatoes, sweet potatoes, watermelons, onions, everything, tobacco, everything that sugar cane, everything that could be grown in Louisiana. My mother said her family grew it, and they worked the land. So, I think that's why I love gardening and planting and that type of thing because it's in my blood. I love plants. I gave away all my plants except for some of my outdoor plants when we moved here because we're staying with my in-laws until we find a house. And of course, when we find a house, it's going to be full of plants because that's what I enjoy. But that's part of my blood. That's my ancestors were farmers. They were sharecroppers. They worked the land. So of course, you're going to be interested in that because it's part of, who you are. That's why it's good to know who your people were, where you come from. You know, do you know what your people did, what your ancestors did, how they made money? Like, how far back can you go to know what your people did? Intuitively Instinct said, I had grief that I didn't show my grandma enough love before she passed, and I blame myself a lot. My grandmother was pretty much like my mom, and my great grandma was my grandma. My mom was always working, and I went through a lot of trauma with my mom. My grandma, my grandma used to say they were witches. Oh, this is Tamisha. My grandmother used to say they were witches. I'm the one that has tapped into it. So intuitively in sync, don't don't hold any feelings behind what you didn't do for a person because that's not helpful for you. You have to just move on. You have to just let her know that you know, when you talk to your ancestors, just let her know, I'm sorry that I didn't do everything that I should have done when you were here. But at the time, I didn't know. You didn't know at the time. And you have to move on. You can't hold on to that kind of stuff because those type of feelings don't help you. They hinder you. They hinder you from growth. So you have to let that kind of stuff go and move on. What you didn't tell her when she was here, you can't fix it. And when people have moved on, when they have transitioned, they're not looking at you and saying, "You should did this when I was alive." They don't have time for that. They out living the afterlife. They not tripping off of you no more. That's all of that stuff is passed away. Like that's water under the bridge. And you still here on earth living your life tripping off of somebody that is gone. You got to let that go and move on. Because you can't fix that. You can't fix it. The only thing you can do is tell your ancestors you're sorry, give them, give that person something special, tell them that you're sorry, make amends, and move on. That's all you can do. You just can't live your life holding on to any grief or anything for someone that has passed away. It doesn't make any sense. So move on, sweetheart. Especially if that happened when you were 19. I don't know how old you are now, but move on. Let that go. I saw this thing on TikTok yesterday, last night as I was scrolling. A woman was at the grave site of her child. Now I don't know how old the child was, but it looked like the child had passed young. And she was mad because the people at the graveyard had rolled over her child's grave with a tractor. And she on TikTok mad. And I'm like, so does she not understand that the cemetery has to be maintained? They roll over everyone's grave. That's part of maintaining the cemetery. Like, that's part of what you pay for when you bury a loved one at the cemetery. Part of that money goes towards maintenance. That's why it's so expensive to bury somebody at a cemetery, because they have to maintain the cemetery. They have to go in and cut the grass, keep the grass looking decent, trim around the headstones, pick up all those dead flowers, and all of this kind of stuff. So that's how they do it. And she was like, "Well, they rolled over my son's grave with a tractor. I can see the tire tracks." Yeah, you're going to see tire tracks until the grass grows around. It, the child must not have been dead that long, because it didn't look like the grass had even grown around the grave healthy yet. They roll over all the graves, sweetheart. There is a cinder block, a cement block on top of the casket. The casket is in a cement vault. That's how they do here in California. I'm not sure. Well, that's what my parents paid for. The casket is in a cement vault. And then there's a cement block closing the vault. Then they put the dirt on top of there. And then they level it out with a tractor or some type of dirt mover thing. So, yes, they're going to be rolling over that grave. People are going to be walking on. Like, when you go to see your loved one, you are walking on someone else's grave, because people are buried everywhere in the cemetery. But that's not hurting your loved one. Your loved one is asleep. They are in an eternal rest. They don't know what's going on up here. But I felt bad for her because, like, she was really upset that a tractor had ran over her child's grave. Sweetheart, they gonna run over the grave. They gonna walk over the grave. She was like, "This is so disrespectful." And people in the comments was trying to tell her that's what they do at the cemetery, sweetheart. Maybe you should have had your child cremated, and then you could have took them home, and then that way no one touches them. But at the cemetery, they're gonna walk, drive, trot, whatever. But yeah, sweetheart, just move on. Don't don't hold on to don't hold on to any grief or hard feelings of what you didn't do while a person was alive after they're gone. That's why you take care of people while they're here. That should be your lesson. To don't repeat that. You know how it feels when you did it to that person, so don't do it to anybody else. If you love somebody, let them know. Let them know while they're here. Give them, my mama used to always say, give me my flowers while I'm here. Because when I'm gone, I can't see that shit. My mother left written instructions. Do not come out to Rolling Hills. That's where she's buried, her and my dad. Don't come out to Rolling Hills after they lay me to rest. It don't make no sense for you to be running out there. You did everything you could while I was alive. She said it don't make no sense for you to run out there and be looking at this headstone. I'm with your daddy. I'm fine. Live your life. Be happy. And I took her at her word. I don't run out there to that cemetery. I think I went out there once. I went out there once to make sure that the headstone was, they had put the headstone nice. Because my dad already had one, and I was thinking about taking his up and just putting one big one with him and her. But then the cemetery said that would be more. So to just go ahead and give her one by herself. Yeah, Phoenix, you done lost. You losing. You losing, girl. So my dad has one and my mother have one. So I went out there and checked to make sure it was fine. And I think I've been out there one or two other times. And that's it. I'm not gonna be running out to that cemetery. Why I'm gonna do that? Well, my mama, if she wants me, she will come to me in a dream. Now, if I feel like I want to see her, I will. And the thing is, we don't live too far from where my mother is buried. And when we pass by the cemetery, she kind of buried like kind of up on the hill, not when you go around. Yeah, I can't see her actual plot, but I can see like the area where she is from the freeway. And every time we pass by there, I always wave. That's enough for me. I don't have to go out there. And my mother wasn't a flowers type person. Like when she was alive, she didn't like flowers and all that kind of stuff anyway. So I'm saving my money. Tamisha said, "How Goddess? How do you feel about?" Oh, and Tanisha, if you want to refer to me, can you just refer to me as Ia? Um, how do you feel about keeping or spreading loved ones' ashes? I feel like that's up to the person. You know, if that's what the person request it, then do that. If you feel like you want to, keep them in your home, just do that. I don't care. I mean, I kind of was. I'm still on the fence about being cremated, and if I am, I do want to be scattered at sea. Even though I don't like water like that, but I ain't gonna be here to drown, so it ain't gonna matter. My uncle came to me. I was wide awoke, and I ran and thought he was coming to take me. You thought you was finna go, girl? Shit, I probably would have been running too. I'd have been like, I ain't ready yet. Oh, I see. Now that's the thing. I don't want when I unless I'm sick. Unless I'm sick, that's the only way that I want a relative to come get me. But if I'm just like fine and I see one of my relatives, I'm probably gonna run too because I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not ready. They're gonna be like, come here, come here. I'm probably gonna run too because I don't want to. Now it's different if if I get sick, because I swear when I first caught, what, and I was sick, I was like, I want one of my ancestors to. I told my husband, I was like, I'm finna leave here. My husband was like, girl, dramatic, if you don't shut your dramatic butt up, I swear. He was dressed in a white suit. Okay, Obatala. Come on, Obatala. Yeah, I ain't ready, girl. I am not ready. I want a natural death. Yeah, put me in a beautiful bamboo coffin with some beautiful flowers and crystals and bury me under a tree or in the deep sea. Yeah, I don't care. I really don't. Let me tell y'all this. When I had my thyroid removed, I think in 2010, my best friend, I had left very specific instructions for her. And so I told her all the stuff that I wanted in my casket because I'm not about to try to, leave here and be bored. Just in case, just in case we died and it's some type of waiting period, I don't want to be bored. So, like, I was like, a book, my crystals, my sock monkey. I wanted like a crochet bag where I wanted the yarn, my crochet needles, just in case we needed something. My phone, just in case they messed up and I really got down there and woke up, I could have my phone, make sure it's charged, put my charger in there. I had told my best friend, you know how the bottom part of the casket is closed so you can't see the people's feet and stuff? I was like, just shove a duffel bag with all of the stuff that I've asked for. A bottle of, I had a whole list of shit. Just put all of that in a duffel bag and put it down by my feet. In case I wake up, I can get it. I left all that in a letter. And I had told her, don't open this unless I don't make it out of the surgery. We best friends. Of course, she opened it. When I got out of the surgery, she was like, are you crazy? Is it something wrong with you? I'm not gonna put all that shit. You know your mama ain't gonna let them people put all that shit because at the time my mother was still alive. She was like, you know your mama ain't gonna let you put all that shit in your casket. Are you crazy? I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to fight your mama to put all this crazy shit in your casket. I was like, yeah, you will. Because I would do it for you. I would definitely do it for you. So I need everything that I listed, I need. I asked for everything but food, but I did ask for water. Because you never know. Like, what if the burial process is just some limbo and you just, sitting there waiting? Like, I don't want to be bored to death until they call. What if it's like the DMV and you just got to wait until they call your number? Nah, I need something to do. So I was like, you most definitely will have to put all of that stuff in my casket. Yeah. Yeah, see, I didn't watch too many movies where. Now, okay, have you ever seen that movie where, and I don't know what the name of it is, where these two people, like this man and this woman, like meet each other in, they weren't in heaven. They hadn't made it to heaven yet. They met each other, and it's like in limbo. Like, you stay in a resort, and the resort is based on what you did while you were here on earth. Like, if you were a good person, you got to stay at like a 5-star resort with all this good food and everything. And if you were just like a mediocre person, you stayed at like a Motel 6. And the man, he was staying at like the Motel 6 because he hadn't really did anything important in his life. And the woman was staying at this like luxury resort place. And you got to eat whatever you want. Like, you got to eat as much food as you want, but you don't get full. Like, it was so interesting. And then you go through these like phases where they show you what your life was like, and I guess you get to plead your case in front of God in order to go to heaven. And if you can't explain some of the stuff that you did, why you made certain choices, because they're going to show them to you in like movie form. And if you can't explain some of the choices that you made, you don't get to go to heaven. So, I mean, it's a really interesting movie. And I was thinking, okay, so what if it's like that? What if heaven is like that? Like, I really got to prove, like, I got to get there and prove to God, like, I did the best I could. And God be like, well, when you were 28 and you cussed out that cashier at Walmart and this poor woman was just trying to, all right, I did it. Shit. I did it. Especially if he show it to me and I see how bad it is. I'm gonna just be like, all right, man, I'm gonna just go to hell. It's a really good movie. I'm gonna have to find out what the name of it is and put it in my community. Is Tina still here? Did Tina leave? Cause Tina be coming in and out. Shout out to my moderators who done stuck with me through doing videos and not doing videos. And shout out to the members of the channel. Y'all are doing it. Y'all still doing it. Some of y'all still paying and don't be getting your readings or nothing and still be paying your little $5 or whatever it is. Shout out to y'all. But I'm gonna get better though. Because um I was watching this minister. Lord have mercy. I was watching this attorney. It is a young black attorney who was, like talking about the Tasha K and Cardi B like situation. And he was saying that he's going to be doing some classes to help people over 35 or something with their social media presence. And he was saying that Patreon is actually better than the membership and stuff here on YouTube. So I may tell everybody to cancel your membership here on YouTube on the YouTube thing, because you see, I never promote that. Um, Cancel the membership here on YouTube, and we're gonna go over to Patreon, I think, and do stuff over there. Because let me say this too. YouTube, I don't know if I'm on the blackball list or what is going on, but a lot of my videos are being held for review. And it's basically like YouTube don't want you to gear your content to children, and then when you gear your content to adults, they demonetize it. So, I don't know. And Patreon doesn't do that. They don't censor your content on Patreon like they do here. So, some things that I don't even bring up here on YouTube, I will be able to talk about on Patreon. So, the people that are paying for your membership here, you guys can cancel that and then do the thing on Patreon. If that makes sense. And I don't know if any of the people here, I think just Kay is a member. So you can cancel it here, your membership here, because we're going to go over to Patreon and do some things there. But I was really thinking about taking this guy's class and see how he helps content creators, because I think he has over 100. I think he's got like 200,000 subscribers. Good job. But we shall see. Oh, so I am. Honeybee. So Honey is a. I think my husband coming.
I thought you were in there. She'll be ready by 1.
What time is it now?
12:30.
Okay, I'll be in by then. Okay. Yeah. So, Honey, cancel now. Cancel now before they take out the money for next month. You got to do it now, or they'll take out February's money. So cancel your thing. Cancel your subscription now. And I'm gonna go in and look and see how many other people are on it, and let them know to cancel too, because I'm gonna be on Patreon. I'm gonna get on Patreon after I figure out how to do it, y'all. Oh, they did? Okay. Well, don't worry about it. Just do it. Just do it for next month. I didn't know when they did it. So just get out of that. But you'll still get your reading. Don't worry about that. You still gonna get your reading. Yeah, because I am feeling better now. So I am going back to readings and stuff. So I am feeling better. Maybe the sun helped me feel, getting up and getting the fresh air and stuff. Or maybe it just finally came out. I mean, my throat still feels a little dry and sore when I first wake up in the morning, but maybe it's finally gone. That was a long road. All right, y'all. So my realtor is. Did he lock the door? Our realtor, is going to Zoom a property that we want to see in Sacramento, so we don't have to drive all the way out there to look at it. And the Zoom starts at 1, so I'm gonna get ready to go. Yeah, it lasts for a while, but I have been feeling better since I I just been feeling better this week. And I hope it continues because I was feeling horrible. So I will see you guys later. I'm going to go in and get ready for the Zoom. I hope. I'm just ready to move. Y'all, seriously. Y'all keep praying that we find this house and we get our own place. And I can, get back into my regular rhythm. Like I don't even see the thing was when we moved here, we put our stuff in storage. It's in the garage, but it's everything is boxed up. So I only took out a limited amount of clothes. That's why sometimes if you see me and I'm wearing the same thing, it's because I only have a certain amount of clothes that's not in storage. So, I can't dress the way I really want to dress. I just can't be the way that I want to be. And that shit is just getting to the point where it's getting on my nerves now, for real. Because I don't have my headband, all my headbands and, all my stuff that really I have my jewelry and stuff, but I don't have all my clothes. So I can't be out here looking like I want to look. I think I'm going to make me another one of these little jackets. And somebody said that Target got granny square jackets. I want to look at my Target. I bet not walk up in Target and they got a jacket that look like this. I want to see though. They said Target is selling a whole bunch of crochet stuff. And I want to see what their price point is. But I think I'm going to make me another one of these. Just make it another color and make the sleeves longer. I like my little jacket. My little jacket turned out cute. Okay, y'all. So I will talk to y'all later. I love you. Thank you so much for participating and being here with me in Phoenix. You didn't even do a week this time. Okay? Phoenix, you was late today. You don't get a star today because you was too late. KK beat you today, Phoenix. And K is usually late. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you.